And then if you think from that angle, you go like, okay, so who else is really, really good at creating, transforming, and moving data around? And you basically end up that it is a AI combined with automation. If somebody is really actually interested in prompt engineering, prompt hacking, it's really fun, actually. I love it. Like, you can hack a system using emojis.
Oh,
because
what?
emojis is tokens, and try to see like how does this impact that? How do they stack on each other? And I see it visual. Like, probably your listeners will be like, "What a weird person seeing things in her head." And then if you think from that angle, you go like, "Okay, so who else is really, really good at creating, transforming, and moving data around?" And you basically end up that it is a AI combined with automation.
Hello and welcome to Tech Effect, the podcast where we interview industry leaders and experts to share their insights on the topics and trends shaping the tech industry. My name is Josh from TestDevLab's marketing team, and today I'm joined by Goda Go. Goda is the founder of AI Productivity Hub, an exclusive private community helping non-technical business owners implement AI at scale. She is also a content creator on YouTube, reaching 3.4 million people globally, as well as having experience in marketing, B2B business, entrepreneurship, project management, and more. Goda has a fascinating background transitioning from architecture to AI entrepreneurship, and she brings a unique perspective to the rapidly evolving world of artificial intelligence. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, that was a lot.
I do my
Thank
research.
you, but you did an amazing job.
Yeah, important to do your research. Tech companies. So Goda, I've given our listeners that good little in-depth introduction, but maybe you can let us more about yourself, the journey you've taken through tech, and your current ventures like AI Productivity Hub.
That's 3 questions, so let's go.
You can break it down. Tell us a bit about yourself then. Let's start with how you went from starting architecture all the way up to AI.
Yeah, it's still crazy. My mom is still asking me, like, are you planning to come back to architecture? Because, being an architect was so clear. Like, you tell anybody, like, I'm an architect, it's like, oh, okay, I know, like, you do this thing around. To be honest, I thought when I was younger, like, I thought that I'm going to do architecture my whole life. That was my passion. I did everything to get into universities, to get all the scholarships. I think at some point I learned about myself that I also was very interested in entrepreneurship. But back in the day, in Lithuania, entrepreneurship was not even a word. Such thing like a startup, you are just business owner. And being business owner was not really seen as cool. Being architect was seen as cool, well. However, I was doing different kind of projects, getting investments for projects in university, and like slowly I kind of realized that, hey, I really like this, like business stuff.
The business side of things.
And then what happens when I started working in architecture very early in my university studies, but I really wanted to understand how does the business part of architecture work. It doesn't look good.
Oh.
No. So, fast forward, I got scholarship studied in Denmark.
Oh, wow.
And I think if I look back, I think it was kind of critical moment because while Lithuania University, great, loved it, my experience, you have to imagine that me going to Danish university that was top 10 in Europe, it felt like thank you. I transitioned in time.
Oh, wow.
I went from, hey, we maybe in Kona City have 2 laser cutters and machine, to a university that has robotic arms, 5D CNC machines. I was literally in a lab all day long. Like, all my money went buying materials and basically using robots to build stuff. And it just, I was so fascinated about tech and what's possible. And this is where I think, I made a decision that I'm pausing with architecture and I'm going to give it a shot to transition into tech and entrepreneurship.
So that going to Denmark where you had a great time back in Lithuania, but that introduction to seeing all the possibilities, all the tools, and just being exposed to and being able to play with all those little things and test things out. That you're like, actually, this is where I really enjoy this.
Yeah.
Nice. And then so you went through that, you've started tech, you got involved in tech, and now here you are, you've set up AI Productivity Hub. How did that come along then?
There's many kind of like stages between. One, I think, just kind of how I got into AI, I would really probably, I was always interested in tech. So that architecture part where I was like, oh, I can do parametric design, I can pull data and model the building. I was very interesting. So this is why I started learning a little bit of scripting, for example. So moving more like from art to more like a data-driven design. But then once I transitioned into tech, it really happened that I landed a job in big data analytics company in travel industry with dynamic pricing data. Okay. So this is like, I kind of joke that once you work with data, like you start seeing everything through the data. And at that time we were doing really, like the company, like a Danish company, they now sold to the big corporation. But I was just fascinated. I was like, nerding out with data scientists, machine learning engineers all day long. And this is where I think like I learned AI was not cool to say.
No.
Machine learning was already a buzzword. But this is where I kind of like understood like what is the powerful thing, what you can do with data and the impact of data. So this is to give you that context. Yeah. Now, if we jump into AI Productivity Hub, this really came. Okay, so I think the easiest explanation to you now would be that on my door in my office, I have a saying, which is like, be who you need it. So my fundamental belief is that if I, as girl from Lithuania, from architecture, was able to transition to big data, just tech, and then was able to go into AI, I think anybody, like I'm not smarter than majority of people. I fundamentally believe that people, if they get support, if they understand why, what is the value, that anybody can adopt this technology and see productivity gains. So I want to take non-technical professionals or business owners and say, hey, this is incredibly powerful thing, and you don't need to wait 2, 3, 4 years when it's, already pre-built application for you.
Buying a service that everyone else
exactly
has.
Take that power in your hands. The open source community, like every business should have their own AI in-house, right? So but you have to start somewhere and to show people the power of a simple use cases solving problems, and that anybody, and I mean we have people in our community who had many businesses in the past and are in their 70s using no-code AI builders and solutions. They learn by doing, and that's possible. There is literally no excuse at this point.
That was very impressive, especially because, as we see, it tends to be the older generations, as you mentioned. They know how things were. They've been through the position, but it can be sometimes a bit scary for them to take on a whole new tech, and it's all unstable, and they've been working their whole life. So to be able to access that and enhance their businesses without having to worry about the whole big in-depth technical side is a really big step. It was also quite fun, I think, for you, because you started at this Danish company before it went and got bought by a big company. You got a really hands-on view, and we're like, this is a lot, and you got to learn a lot, I imagine. But at the same time, it also went, this for someone coming into this, seeing all this data and working with all this and all this machine learning, as it was at the time, would probably be overwhelming. And you saw that, you identified that, and went, I can actually make it so it isn't as scary or as a bigger thing as when I first started, and make sure everyone can access it.
Yeah, so the funny thing that I was in the company, I was doing many things before we started growing, but basically in many cases I was the research analyst team, which was one person. So I hope they are not watching this.
Send that to our team. It's hi, I'm the team.
But basically I would talk with the data scientists, machine learning engineers. They would explain me this complex tech And then my job would be to create use cases, scenarios for airline CEOs, C-level. How do I translate that we understand it, that we see a problem, we see the use case, and we see how we can solve it. So I would build white papers, case studies, infographics, do different campaigns. So, it was a lot of practice how to take a complex thing and make it simple. And now I say that's the most hardest thing.
It is.
Make
it's really
things
difficult.
simple.
And it shows you truly understand the subject, because I think there's a saying out there, if you can take a complex subject and say it really simply, it's a sign of true understanding, because sometimes you're like, oh, what if I miss it? But to be able to do that and then communicate that is it's a big thing. And you are here in Riga doing something similar to that. You are here talking about AI and how to unlock human potential. And you've been helping, as we mentioned, those non-technical business owners implement it at scale, and sort of what sparked your passion. But do you feel at times maybe there's some businesses or there's some business owners who haven't adopted it, maybe think, oh, it's a big business thing, or maybe it's something only startups think about? Like, what kind of businesses can use this technology? And do you think there's some businesses who are just not doing it because they think, oh, maybe it's not something I can do? Hard question.
No, it's a very good question. You mentioned tactile, so I would go back to probably repeating myself what I said on stage, or what I try to say, that if people understand like what's the big deal with this technology, because we are still debating, is it a hype, is it not a hype? Oh, I tried it and it didn't work for me. Yeah, like I went to gym once, didn't got skinnier like instantly. I used on stage, I did this analogy, and this is again like it's tying to big data. As I said, like once you work with that, like you see everything from that angle. And I told the story when my 3-year-old, basically I overheard her talking with kindergarten teacher, and she told the kindergarten teacher, asked like, oh, hey, what does your mom do? And my girl said like, well, she leaves me here and she goes to the office. And it kind of sparked to me like, what is it that I really do? Because kids reason by first principles, basically. So she sees me, that's true. And then I was like, okay, if she would see me, like I sit by computer, make funny noises on a keyboard. And that I went that, a rabbit hole, and I was like, okay, so what is it that all of us do all day long on these machines? And there is really two things. One is you create and transform data all day long. You create text file, image, video, like audio files, whatever it is. And then you edit videos, edit images, edit text. So that's first. And then second one, we move that data around. So literally you can click, drag and drop the file. You can send an email, you post it on social media. We move data. So it's like data pipelines. And then if you think from that angle, you go like, okay, so who else is really, really good at creating, transforming, and moving data around? And you basically end up that it is a AI combined with automation. Because AI, right now, all what it does, really, really good, is synthetic data. So when you prompt and you get text out, you created new data. It's a synthetic data. Same with image, same with video. And then AI is brilliant at transforming from text to video, from text to audio. So you transform the data. And then if you combine that powerful technology with automation, you kind of like, get why. So when you think about like, okay, what's the big deal? Well, we have a fundamental technology that is faster, better, and is getting better every single day than anything what we do on our computers. So I know it's a long way to explain this, but this is if I talk with business people, I'm like, okay, you have a team. You pay people per hour. Productivity is measured like the value, dollars, per hour, right? So your team could right now work way faster, way better, because AI can make it faster and better. And it is better than any single of your team members. So for me, that just kind of is no-brainer that if technology that does better what...
No, I think that was an excellent explanation there. It's not that big companies do it, small companies. So everyone works with data. Everyone can benefit from implementing AI. And as you say, when it gets to these no-code, easily implementable things that can be used by even 70-year-old business owners, there really is no excuse, and it is something anyone can do. And just because you tried it once and it didn't fit doesn't mean it might not work if you try it again. And I know this year there's been a lot of talk about, how AI is really sort of coming into its own. Last year it was all about chatbots and using chat functions. And then this year, we're seeing all these companies that are investing heavily, as you mentioned earlier, in AI agents and making it do tasks autonomously. So the humans using it can be more productive. They have more time to do things, and all these small, bogged down tasks that they'd have to waste time on, they can be automated out there. So it is a really good thing. So we know the benefits of it. But are there, in your opinion, any significant barriers that might prevent a business implementing it effectively? Maybe not understanding their product, maybe...
Yeah, so I would say one big barrier right now for many companies is something what is known as hallucinations. So basically, when AI model is predicting the next word incorrectly, and obviously that becomes a huge issue, because if you are implementing and you are like, okay, this AI thing with automation does things better than me, let it go. But if you let it go and it is creating wrong data or transforming the data wrong, you have an issue. So something that I mentioned to you before recording, that 2 years ago, we started working on multi-agent systems. And as you said, like, people are talking now about agents, and we are in a team like, finally, okay, let's go. But 2 years ago, so this is like, feels like forever. So people are catching up, which is amazing. But the idea of multi-agent systems is really seeing things like this collective intelligence. That imagine that one system, like AI system, like ChatGPT or one LLM, is like a neuron in your brain. But if you think how many models are out there already right now on Hugging Face, which is 1.3 million, and then open source community, the news about DeepSeek that came out. So if you take this a collective intelligence and you find a way, how do we connect one model to another, and how do connect specialized models as well, and how do we create systems that we work together? So multi-agent systems have like orchestrator, for example, that is like a manager of systems. This is like my favorite thing is now watching them talk to each other, these agents, and they go like, oh, the user should have provided more details. Now I have to go research this. Like, no, you have to be factual. So turns out that, you know, if you have one agent telling to another that you are not allowed or you will be penalized and destroyed, real thing, to output wrong information, then they actually work better. And then you have all this like smart iterations and cycles of breaking a problem down. So this is talking about problem, like making AI systems reliable. I don't think that it is being that you use one system. You build those systems as a collective intelligence where each node gets better and better as AI gets better.
I like how you're already providing a solution to the problem you identified.
No, like there is many different solutions. Like if you have a lot of H100s laying around, you can train also better, bigger models using synthetic data to, do reinforcement learning as well. So there's many solutions. It's just down what's the cost and can we use already existing specialized models to build. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. No, that leads on to the next question. So obviously you're working and you founded AI Productivity Hub. But how do you approach the challenge of making these complex AI systems and tools? Obviously, they're for non-technical users. Are there frameworks you can give to help users identify areas where they can use AI to enhance their products and services? Or
yeah, so one huge problem that I've been seeing, I create content on YouTube, which comes with a lot of comments. So you actually literally hear what people's concerns are, what their challenges. So I would say, what I observed and then went and created AI journey quiz. So for anybody who is interested to kind of get into my private community network, they take a quiz, and there is one of many questions just to assess their level, like where are we in AI adoption journey? So are we just at the beginning, or we are actually already working with APIs, automations, maybe we are even aware about JSON, structuring data, and all those buzzwords. So, but one question I ask there is, what is your number one obstacle in adopting AI? You want to guess what it is?
Lack of knowledge, lack of experts.
That's third reason.
Okay. I don't know.
It's good. Sorry for putting you on the spot.
No,
So
good.
number one is feeling overwhelmed.
Oh, yeah.
So, and overwhelm is that, okay, AI is also amazing in personalization, right? So we literally can personalize things. So overwhelm comes from like that you are with your skill set, with your knowledge, with your experience, with your unique business, with your unique domain expertise. And now, you hear everyone scream at you, use AI, but like you test it and maybe it's not fitting for your needs or your skill set or even your understanding. So the framework that I developed and piloting in a AI productivity hub is, I call it AI audit. And I wish one day to do AI audit podcast. So spoiler alert. But basically the way it works with people take a quiz first. So we get at what level they are, and there are 8 levels. And then going through the AI audit, I encourage people to track their time. Because how can you improve productivity or anything in life if you don't measure? So if we don't know how much people actually spend time, and if you work with me, I want to show you results, be like, hey, when you came here, you spent this much time or managing your email, now it's 0. Yeah. So I want to be able to show it. So then people track their time, and the software that I at least used for the last 2-3 years is called Rise. They're pretty cool, but there's also open source, if you are worried about data privacy. So people track their time, and then what we can see based on their tracking, do they spend actually time and what tech stack they use. So now if we know, okay, we know your level and your skills, so we know if I tell you JSON, you will be like, okay, great. And then we know, okay, this is how you spend your time. Yeah. We know what solutions you actually use. So if I tell you that, hey, download this my AI automation for Notion, and you use Airtable, you will be like, okay, great. Like I don't use, like it's not my tool. So we know all those 3 things, and then we go like, okay, what is one problem? And we look, of course, at your time spent. Like that, if we solve this right now with automation, you will have more time to be in my community. But also, like, you solve one problem, you learn by doing.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like my approach to personalize. And then the moment people take a quiz, I know at what level to talk with them. So if I know that they are a beginner, I'm not going to suggest them to go N8N or agent building systems, because they will be like overwhelmed, right? Yeah. So we start with very simple stuff, like for example, make.com, like Zapier, very visual tools where you literally just drag and drop, and then when people learn, we can take a quiz again, and we see that they improve and we move, and then we slowly can build on those use cases and take more and more complex tasks. So this is the approach.
I was going to say, I guess that also helps you when you're designing these AI systems and looking for frameworks, especially when they're overwhelmed. This helps for users sort of be able to trust and understand what they're using, because a lot of what they see when they start on that initial level, when the drag and drop, that's when they start to, I understand it. And once they understand it and they see it work, they start to trust it. Because again, it's a big step. Someone might be, for example, they have like an AI voice thing, and I think you have the same thing where you speak into it, say, hey, arrange a meeting for this time, and the AI does it. And first time someone does it, 100% they're opening their calendar afterwards, and like, did it actually go there?
Yeah.
And it did, and okay, so they do it again and again, and they stop checking their calendar, and they just trust the system once they're more familiar with it.
Yeah, so the thing that you're talking about is, we call it JJ, for like legal purposes. So it's literally like a chatbot that you can place anywhere. We placed it in Claude, Slack, WhatsApp. The easiest low-hanging fruit is like Telegram, because you don't have to meta permission to do it. And basically I can click a button and this pops up. And just before, remember, like I send a voice message, and this is like really works like an engine. So in the background is no-code automation that we provide. and literally people can just set it up in 30
Yeah.
to up to an hour, and they do it, they learn, and
Yeah.
then they're like, oh, I want to personalize. How about this? Is this possible? And this is where I think the element of community comes, because if you tutorials, courses, YouTube videos, like I'm fault of that, right? All of those things like get outdated literally probably 2 days after they come out. But also like people learn and then they get stuck on something so small. And how great it would be if you actually have like this group of people that you can nerd out, that they understand, they are not like, oh, stop talking about AI, and they are building together. So it's not about, hey, I will come in and just service you and build it for you. We want people to have fundamental understanding, test it. So this is JJ is like they go through the process testing,
It goes through it,
setting up one of the most powerful engines, no-code AI automation engines. And when they, want personalized, we help.
And it works similar to, I guess, for an example, like a WhatsApp chat where you just leave a voice note and AI does the rest.
Yeah, so you can leave a voice note, you can take a picture. So there is like, you can plug in.
Like a chat, basically.
Yeah.
You just like,
and the approach was that we were like, okay, we can turn it into an app, and people told us to turn it into an app. But the point here is that people actually have that power, that control of, I have this engine and I decide what features it will have. So the real-time voice came out. Boom, we added real-time voice too. Somebody wanted that this chatbot sends you voice message. Great, we added that too, right?
But you also mentioned there, I think you had this whole community that you work with and you get them into AI. What is the importance of user feedback when involving and working with AI solutions?
It's absolutely key. Like, when you mean community's feedback, or as if you're launching a product, listening to the people how they use feedback?
I mean, I guess you can look at both, because community will have an in-depth knowledge and they'll follow the product, whereas when you launch a product, they're maybe not so new to the community, and some of those people who start there will end up in the community, but how important is both in playing in? I mean,
so for example, with this automation, when we launched, we had so many ideas, but we can, connect it, like we can connect it to Siri or whatever, like also even voice. But we kind of decided, okay, let's put bones. We looked at looked at the statistics, what people spend the most time on mundane small tasks, like blocking calendar, events, reminders, notes, researching, quick research. And we were like, okay, we will go with a base, and then we will hear feedback. So we literally on a weekly basis, we have community calls and meetings. So we have JJ Q&A sessions where people come in and they come up with use cases I could have never even thought about. Like notebooks, like when you write in the notebooks. So one of the community members, she has like stacks of notebooks. So she was like, wait a second, so I can just go take pictures and it automatically transcribes and places it in my Notion and into my knowledge base, and then can also take that and write blog posts. Fridge, dishes, like all that, like somebody connected into the watering system.
Oh, wow. What?
In Australia, that's true. Like Jason, literally name is Jason. He is a champion. Like it's incredible to see when people take it and go with it. I can tell you one more use case, but I'm so proud. Like I want to scream about this. So when I just launched, of course, I didn't know what angle it's going to shape, and like also like what's the target audience, because obviously I want everyone to adopt AI. And there was this lady, Vicky, and Vicky, when she was following my YouTube channel, and when I offered people to talk, because I wanted to talk with my audience and to hear them before I build it out forward. And I remember talking with her, and she was like, "Yeah, Goda, like she's moved to later living homes, it's called."
Okay.
And she's like, "Yeah, I don't know, like I'm very excited about tech." She worked before, like with the email when email came out, which is amazing. So she was like, "Yeah, it feels like I've been there. Like it's the
Yeah.
same feeling when internet came around, like social media. She's like, that's familiar. It's huge. She's like, so I still want to do it, but she's like, I'm not sure. La, la. And I was like, okay, great. Like, I have free and private community. Private is paid. And you will find out when people pay, they take action.
Yeah.
So, but she joined workshops. She saw JJ. She was like, you know what? It would be so useful for people who move to later living homes to have this companion that you can real-time voice talk and say literally like, hey, what is on menu tomorrow?
Yeah.
What is the event? Can you block it in my calendar? Can you set like just simple stuff, right? And basically, she had that use case. She joined Van community.
Okay.
I was like, okay. She joined. She even like upgraded, and then she went and with our help, she created a demo prototype.
Wow.
She went to the community owners and CEOs.
Yeah.
Before she went to pitch, she tested the use case with our members. Everyone was like blown away. Then we helped to build real-time voice and place JJ into that. She landed a client.
Oh,
They're
wow.
interested.
So
Now
the community...
we are her like now tech team. That was not the plan, but
No.
I just love this use case because it would be overlooked by so many startups. And now she's
she
taking
had that community and it helped to
and
get it out there.
And the best part is that she has fundamental understanding now how it works in the back.
Oh, that's really impressive.
So talking to her, and she can now literally, because she learned by doing, she understands, she can go and she actually can explain it to people and sell it.
No, that's very impressive. The community plays, again, a massive role in that. I want to ask you on a slightly more, I guess, personal note. You talk about the community and you build these products. Do you think your background in architecture influenced your approach to building user-friendly AI things? Maybe it's something to do with the quality aspect or the fact that when someone goes in a building, everyone trusts that it works. Everyone trusts it's not going to go whoosh. So do you think that plays into like the mentality of it, or maybe that fed through?
I can tell you for sure one thing that every architect has, which is not very appreciated in a startup world. You want your architect to be precise.
Yes.
Perfectionist. If you're hiring an architect, you want that person to be perfectionist. Same as with surgeons, right? So that aspect definitely plays a role, which has been my personal challenge, where I have to balance between, because obviously when we launch something, I want it to be perfect, but when it evolves, but how it benefits, I think it's very hard for me to kind of analyze myself. But if I would think about it, that I know that I think visually.
Yeah.
So when I'm explaining you multi-agents or everything, I'm literally seeing 3D boxes connected to each other. Or data pipelines. I literally see how data is traveling. And it's very crazy to explain. I can close my eyes and I can walk inside the building. I can literally retrace what we walked here. It's this visual, because I trained it so much, since childhood, right? So the way I think that kind of manifests working with AI, that when I'm reading deep research papers, super complex stuff, I immediately try to break it down into building blocks pieces and try to see how does this impact that? How do they stack on each other? And I see it visual. Probably your listeners will be like, "What a weird person seeing things in her head." But I don't know. This is if I would try to kind of overanalyze it. I think.
No, that's good.
It plays a role.
It leads sort of into my next question of that focus on quality and seeing the building blocks and the precision. And we've already talked about data. But when you're building an AI tool and testing it, and you want to make sure it's implementing successfully, how important is making sure you're training it on that precise data and building a quality product that goes out there? And
well, you know the answer. It's vastly important. The quality of data, is key, and this is where plays a role that. If you are a business with your domain expertise and you have your proprietary data, I'm talking really healthcare, even finance, right? That is your superpower. And I think businesses understand that.
Yeah.
And therefore, like if you look at the open AI, where money comes from, it comes from ChatGPT, not API calls.
No.
Well, obviously for a reason. So I'm really excited to see like open source community involving, and I honestly think that every business should own their data, protect it, and should think, how can we fine tune the models, take a base model and fine tune it with, reinforcement learning, like get some human labelers, like what to learn about. Basically people who are going to sit and kind of model these conversations that are appropriate to your domain, to your business. One other aspect that doesn't really get talked about, but this is my personal passion.
No.
Prompt hacking.
Okay.
Security. This is how I actually got really ventful into AI prompt engineering. So there's this website, is learnprompting.org. So I was one of the first contributors there, and the website was like 300 people, Discord community, community. And it's now, I think, like in millions of users.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy. So, and we had in 2023, I was part from a Hack a Prompt competition, which was sponsored by OpenAI, by Hugging Face, by Stability AI. And then you would ask, like, okay, so why this huge labs sponsor for you to go and hack a model?
Oh.
And it is because they don't know actually what is fully possible. So they want people who can push, and then the result of that was like a comprehensive analysis research paper on security prompt hacking techniques, red teaming. And now this year, the prompt hack competition 2 is coming, and the reward is $500,000.
Oh, wow.
So this talent for people, and this is a bit back to testing. So one is like, yes, data, yes, use case, yes, people testing, but you really, really need to look into security, pushing the boundaries, like how can, like, I hacked company chatbots.
Oh, wow.
For like,
just
to see if I can. But then, like, I could probably, that's a good use case. You hack them and you send them that, like, hey, you need to fix this, hire me. It's very important. And the distribution of demand and supply is insane. This is why when people are like, why prompt engineers get $500,000 salaries? Well, that's because there is really like probably 100 people who are insane at this and can actually do proper prompt hacking, work at red teaming. And then on another side, there is every single business that is going to need to implement AI. They will need to secure the AI systems on their proprietary data. So, you have a few hundred people, and then the whole world of businesses. That's incredible.
And they're going to need it, because if they haven't tested, they haven't put it through the thing, that can be exploited. There are people out there who can do that.
Yeah, and it will be. So this is like, same as cybersecurity. While people who are not so good are improving, you have to counterattack in the systems, and we hope to have that balance. But right now, what I said to you, it doesn't really look balanced.
So looking into the future then, what skills do you think will be the most valuable for humans to have when working with AI automation? And obviously we've got the cybersecurity side of things, where they need to make sure they're pen testing their products and making sure their AI is robust and not hacking. But is there any skills maybe for other businesses that you think are going to come really to the forefront of everything?
Well, one, like, just to kind of close that loop, what we talked about prompt engineering, like, 99% of people won't need to do that.
No.
Like, you will really think, like, thought to action, and the system should understand it in such a simple way, but there should be the whole, like, mechanism behind it, to be able to translate it, and then it's back and forth. So now in ChatGPT, like, for example, you send something, and it gives you big text back. But in a system, if you say something, you want this like agent to kind of work with you together and be like, hey, can you clarify this? So instead of you thinking about how do I break this problem, we can use smart AI systems to
Smart AI.
interview you. So one answer to you would be that if somebody is really actually interested in prompt engineering, prompt hacking, it's really fun actually. Like I love it. Like you can hack a system using emojis.
Oh,
Because
what?
emojis is tokens, and it's very unique.
Oh.
Tokenization is the whole other area we can jam about. But I would say if you want to be that 1% that you know that it's going to be crazy in demand, the multi-agent system that I told you, it's like incredible prompt engineering going in the background where you build your own kind of programming or communicating with AI language, right? That is a skill that very few people have in the world. So that's definitely, if you're interested in that route, that's one skill. Problem solving. I think programmers, software developers are really good at problem solving. I think that if more people could develop the skills and then combine it with accessible technology, that we can actually, solve
So
problems.
how do you then see the relationship between humans, engineers, and AI evolving in the workplace? And are there any specific tools or advancements you're really excited for non-technical users to be able to take advantage of? We have the JJ tool, obviously, which helps a lot of stuff, but is there anything else that comes to mind?
I think no-code automation tools like Make.com, N8N, like Relay app, all the way back to like Zapier. Like you can do already so much. Like I think automation has been a thing, and it's nothing really new in that sense, but automation combined with AI is really fascinating. I think another one is to learn to fine-tune models. It's not hard. I fine-tune, like 2 years ago. So this is the thing. 2 years ago, before Stability came out, before Midjourney, there was this thing, Disco Diffusion. That was like the original kind of ish. So to fine-tune model, you would be on a Google collab. Like it would be quite complex. And I still, as non-technical person with the community supporting me, was able to do it. Now it's like literally you upload few images, file, it's FAL.ai. It's like so good. The models behind it are so good too. So fine-tuning and then fine-tuning models with synthetic data. So learning how to generate synthetic data, how to get that out of models. So I'm trying to give practical kind of skills because, of course, for me, it's very easy to say, be curious, keep learning.
Keep trying, keep testing.
But it's like, okay, great.
No,
then if there is any students, like the area that I'm very interested in is how the systems work with the human body. So to go into bioengineering, biohacking, devices, like the things Meta is doing. I told you about Card 79, the ear clip, non-invasive brain-machine devices. Those are like technology is there.
Cutting edge stuff,
So when you're like, okay, so if technology is there, we can read literal thoughts. And then there could be automation and action. What's in between, like how do we move that information?
It's somewhat unavoidable. I was going to ask you, what advice would you give to business owners who are hesitant about AI? But I think you made it pretty clear. You can't it's coming, it's happening, and you do have to prepare. So do you have any sort of quick notes for companies that are now starting to realize, actually, this is the future? AI will be a part of my business, and if I don't, I am going to fall to the wayside. What advice would you give them to maybe get started or start preparing for that adoption?
I think the easiest example I could say is like, how often do you call startups internet company?
Never.
Same that AI startup. It's a startup that is using cutting edge technology. Or, hey, we are a new business that use electricity. That was huge at some point.
But now it's just commonplace.
It's a commonplace. It's cheap, and AI is going to get just cheaper. I make this analogy. about how AI is like electricity for the digital
Mm-hmm.
world, all the world inside computers. It's like industrialization. What electricity did sped up all the processes. It took almost 6 decades to
But
fully
we got
adopt,
there,
and we
now it's
called it
there.
scam,
Yeah.
but it's there, right? So if you look at for example, even me making videos and content, like with AI, it just speeds up the whole process. Same as electricity sped up all the factories, right? So fundamentally, it is a technology, as any other technology, and we are debating this technology same as we debated internet and social media. And I think I'm just worried about the people who don't adapt.
Yeah.
But again, we have this, Gaussian curve,
Yeah.
early adopters, and I hope to show, to inspire people that, hey, it's possible.
Possible if you haven't started.
But you do
now.
have to put an effort. It's a new thing.
Yeah.
So you have to start rethinking, breaking things down, and really asking, like, why is it that I do things the way I do?
Yeah.
Like, why is it that I click on email to move that email to the dedicated label folder? AI can do it for you.
Yeah.
So it's really ignorance becomes a choice.
Yeah. So you have to. It's coming. You have to. So, and if you don't, you will get left behind. And the earlier you get involved, the more you are going to see a benefit of that versus everyone who, as you mentioned on that curve, adopt later. We are coming to the end of the time, but I did want to say, because you have a lot of information, you are an AI expert, clearly know your stuff, and you see the world through data. So how can our listeners learn more about you, follow your journey, and learn more about the AI tools and the community you have?
Yeah. So I have a YouTube channel
No.
that is called Goda Go. I really don't want to say like, subscribe.
Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon.
Yeah, like you can check out my YouTube channel. Also AI Productivity Hub.ai. And my communities are on school platform.
Okay.
So basically AI Productivity Hub. You can basically find me also on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And then you will get access to everything else. So connect with me on LinkedIn. I like LinkedIn. It's like last human kind of feeling social media platform. And we need more human connection.
Yeah.
Helping each other to adopt this technology and navigate new territory together.
Wonderful. So thank you for your insights today, Goda. They've been great. Your perspective, your unique journey, your ability to really visualize data, and you've had your hand on the pulse of AI as it's developed, and you've built this community, and you're sharing it with the world on your YouTube channel, and then here today in the podcast. So it's been great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. As you've mentioned, if people want to follow Goda, you can check her out on LinkedIn as a starting point. But she also has a pretty big YouTube channel, so you can see a lot more in-depth discussion on individual topics there. And she has a whole community that you can join. And if you want to know more about software testing, you can go to the TestDevLab Knowledge Hub. We have a blog, we have white papers, and of course, our podcast episodes. So once again, thank you, Goda, for being here today and sharing your insights. And the audience, thank you for listening or watching us today, and I'll see you in the next episode.